Before we begin, I want to ask you a question. What if the life you've always wanted is still possible? What if the person you're meant to become is still waiting for you? Not waiting for more talent, not waiting for better luck, not waiting for the perfect opportunity, waiting for one decision. The decision not to quit.
Because right now, somewhere in the world, someone is giving up on a dream. Someone is abandoning a goal. Someone is convincing themselves they're not good enough. And maybe that someone is listening to us right now.
Maybe you're tired. Maybe you've worked hard and seen no results. Maybe you failed so many times that you're starting to question yourself. And if that's how you feel, then this conversation is for you.
You know what's interesting? Most people don't fail because they're incapable. Most people fail because they stop.
Think about that. The graveyard of dreams isn't filled with people who lacked potential. It's filled with people who gave up before their breakthrough arrived. People who stopped one step too soon, one day too soon, one attempt too soon.
And the scary part? Most of them never knew how close they were, because success rarely announces its arrival. It doesn't send a warning. It doesn't tell you that your breakthrough is coming next week. Sometimes it stays invisible until the very last moment.
Let's talk about the most dangerous voice you'll ever hear. Not your critics, not your competitors, not the people who doubt you, your own voice.
The voice that whispers, "You can't do this. It's too late. Maybe you're not good enough. Maybe success is for other people. Maybe you should just stop trying."
And here's the problem. The more often you hear those thoughts, the more believable they become. Not because they're true, because they're familiar. And familiarity has a strange way of disguising itself as truth.
Many people spend years believing limitations that were never real, not because they failed, because they convinced themselves they would fail.
Let me tell you a story about a man who had every reason to quit, a man who spent most of his life struggling, failing, starting over, again and again. His name was Harlan Sanders. Today, the world knows him as Colonel Sanders, the founder of KFC. But success wasn't always part of his story.
When people hear the name Colonel Sanders, they think about success. They think about restaurants all over the world. What they don't see are the decades of disappointment that came first.
Before success arrived, Sanders worked countless jobs, faced financial struggles, lost opportunities, experienced setbacks that would have discouraged almost anyone. And by the time he reached his 60s, many people would have accepted defeat. Many people would have believed their chance had passed. Many people would have stopped dreaming.
Think about that. Most people believe life slows down after 60. Most people believe it's too late to start over. Most people believe the story is already written.
But Sanders made a different choice. He had one thing, a chicken recipe he believed in. So he started traveling from restaurant to restaurant, trying to convince owners to use it. And what happened? Rejection, again and again and again.
Imagine hearing no hundreds of times. Imagine being told repeatedly that your idea isn't good enough. Most people would have stopped. Most people would have accepted defeat.
But Sanders kept going, not because success was guaranteed, not because he knew the ending, because he refused to let rejection make the decision for him. And eventually, one person said yes, then another, and that small opportunity became one of the most recognized brands in the world.
The lesson isn't about chicken. The lesson isn't about business. The lesson is this: the world never sees the moment when someone wants to quit. The world only sees what happens when they don't.
Most people quit because they expect progress to be visible immediately.
They start exercising, they expect results next week. They start learning a skill, they expect mastery next month. They start chasing a dream, they expect success next year.
But that's not how growth works. Growth is often invisible, at least in the beginning, and that's why patience is so rare. People abandon the process before the results arrive. Let me ask you something. Have you ever worked hard at something for weeks, maybe months, and felt like absolutely nothing was changing? You were putting in the effort, showing up every day, trying your best, yet the results you wanted seemed nowhere in sight.
I think almost everyone has experienced that feeling. It's one of the most frustrating experiences in life because human beings naturally want proof. We want evidence. We want signs that our effort is working. And when we don't see those signs, doubt begins to grow.
Exactly. And that's the moment when most people quit. Not because the dream is impossible, not because success is out of reach, but because progress becomes invisible.
There's a famous story about a bamboo tree, and honestly, it's one of the best lessons anyone can learn about success. Imagine planting a bamboo seed. You water it every day, you take care of it, you protect it, you do everything you're supposed to do. A month passes, nothing happens.
6 months pass, still nothing. A year passes, nothing. 2 years, nothing. 3 years, still nothing visible above the ground. Now, imagine explaining that to your friends. Imagine telling them you've been watering the same plant for years and nothing has happened. Most people would laugh. Most people would tell you to stop wasting your time. Most people would quit.
But here's the fascinating part. Underground, something incredible is happening. The roots are growing, expanding, strengthening, preparing, building a foundation that nobody can see. And then, one day, seemingly out of nowhere, the bamboo shoots upward, rapidly, powerfully, almost overnight.
And everyone who sees it thinks the growth happened suddenly. But it didn't. The growth started years earlier. The visible result was simply the final stage of a process nobody could see.
What if your life works the same way? What if the effort you're making today isn't being wasted? What if it's building roots?
Think about the person learning English. At first, progress feels painfully slow. You learn words and forget them, you make mistakes, you struggle to speak, and sometimes it feels like you're going nowhere. But then, something amazing happens. One day, you understand a conversation you couldn't understand before. One day, you speak a sentence without translating it in your head.
One day, you realize you've improved. The improvement didn't happen overnight. It was happening all along. You just couldn't see it. And the same thing is true for confidence, discipline, fitness, business, relationships, and almost every meaningful goal in life.
Unfortunately, there's another reason people give up: comparison.
And social media has made this worse than ever. Every day you're exposed to other people's success, their achievements, their lifestyles, their victories, their highlights.
But you're not seeing the whole story. You're seeing the finished product, not the process. You're seeing the result, not the struggle. You're seeing the victory, not the years of failure that came before it.
Imagine watching the final 5 minutes of a movie and assuming that's how the entire story looked. It wouldn't make sense. Yet that's exactly what people do with successful individuals. They compare their beginning to someone else's ending. And that's a comparison nobody can win.
Let's think about something for a moment. What does giving up actually cost? Most people think it saves them from pain. It saves them from disappointment. It saves them from failure. But does it really?
Or does it create a different kind of pain? The pain of wondering, the pain of regret, the pain of asking yourself one question over and over. What if I had continued?
That question can follow people for years. What if I had started the business? What if I had finished the book? What if I had learned the skill? What if I believed in myself just a little longer? Those questions can become heavier than failure itself, because failure teaches. Regret haunts.
People often assume successful individuals are different, that they're fearless, more confident, more talented, more gifted, but that's rarely the truth.
Most successful people experience fear. Most successful people experience doubt. Most successful people experience failure. The difference is what they do after those experiences. They continue when others stop. They try again when others quit. They stay in the game when others walk away.
And over time, that simple decision creates extraordinary results, not because they're extraordinary people, because they make an extraordinary commitment to keep going.
Here's a thought that might change your perspective. What if you stopped focusing on the next year? What if you stopped worrying about the next 5 years? What if your only responsibility was today?
Not forever, just today. Can you continue for one more day? Can you try one more time? Can you take one more step? Can you refuse to quit for just one more day?
Because that's how transformation actually happens. Not through giant leaps, not through dramatic breakthroughs, but through ordinary people making an extraordinary decision repeatedly. The decision to continue, again and again and again.
But even if you understand all of this, even if you know growth takes time, even if you know comparison is dangerous, there's still one question left. What do you do when life knocks you down? What do you do when failure becomes personal? When the dream feels impossible? When you're tired of trying?
Because that's where the real battle begins. Not when everything is going well, but when continuing feels hardest. Because sometimes the greatest victory in life isn't winning, it's refusing to surrender. So far, we've talked about invisible growth. We've talked about persistence. We've talked about why most people quit before success arrives. But now we need to talk about something even more important. Because understanding these ideas is one thing, living them is another. What happens when life hits you harder than expected? What happens when you fail? Not once, not twice, but repeatedly. What happens when you've given everything you have and still don't see the results you hoped for?
Because that's where most motivational messages end. They tell you to keep going, they tell you to stay positive, but they rarely tell you what to do when your confidence disappears, when your energy is gone, when you're tired of trying. And that's the moment we need to talk about.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever had a plan for your life? A clear vision, a goal, a dream, something you were excited about, and then life completely changed it?
Almost everyone has. Maybe you didn't get the opportunity you wanted, maybe a relationship ended, maybe you failed an exam, lost a job, lost money, lost confidence, lost direction.
And suddenly the future you imagined seems impossible. That's when many people start believing the story is over. But here's the truth. A setback is not the end of your story. It's a chapter, and chapters are not endings.
One reason people give up is because they think they missed their chance. They believe there was a perfect moment, a perfect opportunity, a perfect age, and somehow they missed it.
But look at history. Many successful people started late. Many successful people failed first. Many successful people spent years feeling lost before finding direction. The idea that your life must follow a perfect timeline is one of the biggest lies you'll ever believe.
Because life isn't a straight line. It's messy, unpredictable, full of detours, and sometimes the detour becomes the path.
Here's something powerful. Pain is unavoidable. Suffering is often optional.
Explain that.
Pain happens to everyone. Failure hurts, rejection hurts, loss hurts, disappointment hurts. But suffering begins when we convince ourselves that pain means we're finished, when we turn a temporary event into a permanent identity.
In other words, failing doesn't make you a failure. Being rejected doesn't make you worthless. Making mistakes doesn't make you incapable. Those are events, not identities.
Imagine standing in front of a mirror tonight, looking directly into your own eyes and making one promise. Not a promise to become rich, not a promise to become famous, not a promise to never fail again. A simpler promise. I will not abandon myself.
That's powerful because many people don't realize this. Every time they quit on a dream that truly matters, every time they stop believing in themselves, they're breaking trust with the person they'll become in the future.
And that future person is counting on today's decisions, whether you realize it or not.
People celebrate championships, promotions, achievements, success stories, but they rarely celebrate the days that made those moments possible.
The early mornings, the lonely evenings, the failures, the sacrifices, the days when quitting seemed reasonable, but someone continued anyway. Those are the days that create greatness.
And here's what's fascinating. Nobody sees those days. Nobody applauds those days. Nobody posts about those days. But those days are the matter most.
Most people focus on results, but results are delayed. The real question is, who are you becoming? Because every challenge shapes you, every setback teaches you, every difficult moment strengthens you, if you allow it.
Think about the strongest people you've ever met, the most confident, the most resilient, the most inspiring. They weren't built through comfort. They were built through challenges, through adversity, through moments when giving up would have been easier.
And now we've reached the most important part of this entire conversation, the truth that many people spend years trying to understand. Success is not reserved for a chosen few. It's not reserved for the lucky, the gifted, or the fearless.
Success often belongs to the people who continue after everyone else stops, the people who get back up, the people who learn, adapt, improve, and refuse to let temporary defeat define their future.
Because they're not special. They made a decision available to every person listening right now, the decision to continue.
Before this podcast ends, I want you to think about something. 1 year from today, where will you be? Not where do you hope to be? Where will your current actions take you?
And more importantly, what happens if you don't quit? What happens if you keep learning, keep growing, keep believing, keep trying? What becomes possible then?
Because nobody can predict your future, but one thing is certain. If you quit today, you close the door on possibilities you'll never discover. If you continue, the story remains unwritten, and that's a powerful thing.
Maybe you're struggling, maybe you're tired, maybe you're doubting yourself, maybe you're closer to your breakthrough than you realize.
Maybe the chapter you're in right now isn't the end. Maybe it's the chapter that prepares you for everything that's coming next.
So don't judge your entire life by one difficult season. Don't judge your future by one failure. Don't judge your potential by one setback.
Keep moving, keep learning, keep believing, keep going.
Because one day you'll look back at this moment and you'll realize that the most important decision you ever made wasn't becoming successful. It wasn't making money. It wasn't achieving a goal.
It was refusing to give up on yourself.
And that decision changed everything.
No matter how difficult life becomes, no matter how many times you fall, no matter how long the journey takes, do not give up on yourself. Thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next episode.